Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EduMatch Tweet and Talk. So follow along with us on Google Plus at bit.ly/tweettalk31 and on Twitter with the hashtag EduMatch. Speaking of EduMatch, if you're interested in being the EduMatch Person of the Day, then sign up at edumatch.education. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to DigSit Summit UK, which is going on this coming Saturday. Oh my gosh, it's here in Bournemouth, London. As well as EdCamp Global, and they have kind of merged to partner on the DigSit-a-thon, which is on Tuesday, going from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check that out. I think that they're still trying to fill in some slots for that, so that'll be awesome. So tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about partnerships. Speaking of partnerships, we're going to be talking about partnerships between teachers and administrators. So I'm going to turn it over to our awesome moderator, Rachel. So Rachel, thank you so much.
Good afternoon, evening, or whatever time it is that you're listening to this. Welcome to our Tweet and Talk today, talking about a shared vision between teachers and administrators. My name is Rachel Pierson. I'm currently serving as a STEM teacher at a small school district in southern Minnesota. Why don't we go ahead and start from left to right, and why don't we have everybody just introduce themselves and say what your role is in education at this point. So Josh, let's start with you. Don't forget to unmute your microphone.
All right. I'm Dr. Josue Falaise. I'm a principal of a junior high school in Roselle, New Jersey.
I am SHAI McGowan from State College, Pennsylvania. I teach math.
Awesome, and welcome to you both. Cynthia's here. Cynthia, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Oop, sorry, I just accidentally muted you. Turn your microphone back on, please.
I did. I just barely unmuted it right before you hit that.
I apologize.
So yeah, Cynthia Day, and I'm in Vermont, and mostly I have taught middle school, but I've taught all grades.
Wonderful, welcome. So we're talking about creating a shared vision today, and I guess the first question or topic of discussion I wanted to bring up is teachers and administrators. What's the beef? Why sometimes do we feel like we are butting heads with each other?
I guess I can start first, being the only administrator here, I think. It's just the lack of knowing certain roles, meaning there's teachers, there's building administrators, and there's central office administrators, and then there's the politicians. Teachers don't fully understand what the building administrator role is in its entirety, as well as the building administrator role does not the building administrator does not understand the central office role, and then no one understands what politicians are doing. So, because I think in every, I guess, lower or superordinate role, we look at it from a black and white perspective, and then as you increase in your role, it becomes more gray, and things have to work on sometimes common sense, but also just based on the situation and trying to be proactive, because you have to think as utilitarians, whereas in the microcosm, that little role from a teacher or a principal, you're looking at it just within your entity, within your building, within your classroom.
Talking a little bit about the roles that we have, do administrators normally start as a teacher and then kind of work their way into administration, or I guess I'm not really sure how that happens. I've known people who have become principals right away after completing some more education. I've known people who have worked towards that. So how does the progression usually work?
Well, it depends on state and who you know. Unfortunate. The state of New Jersey, Christie has actually relieved some of the requirements, meaning someone can come from the outside and have an MBA and never taught and become a principal, as well as a superintendent. And that never existed before, I think, prior to 3 or 4 years ago. And everywhere else, you'd have to go through, get a bachelor's degree, get a certificate or license or degree in an MBA or administration, and then you can apply for the certificate after performing effectively or proficiently on a leadership series type of assessment.
Do you oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think in the state of Pennsylvania, I'm not positive because I have no desire to be an administrator, but you have to hold some type of certification within a school. So like for our 4 of my high school administrators, 2 were classroom teachers, 1 was a counselor, 1 was a emotional support teacher. So so I do think that you have to have some type of a certification before you can go back and get your principal papers. But I don't think there's a time limit. Like, you don't have to be in the classroom for so long.
Okay. What can we do then, I guess, to be more aware of what each other's roles are? I guess for administrators who are coming from the field of teaching, that would be more evident to them as long as they've spent a reasonable amount of time in the classroom. But how can teachers kind of help understand what administrators' role is and what they're doing? I guess that kind of seems to me like an area where we're not understanding each other's roles, and so that kind of gives us reasons to butt heads a little bit.
Can I go ahead and talk?
Absolutely.
Okay. I am in a unique situation because I'm a classroom teacher. I teach math, but I'm also in charge of all the state testing at the high school. And so every day I sit in my administrator's office working on Keystone test with Keystone state testing with him. Oftentimes he's in and out, but I see so much of what he does. And so many of my colleagues have said to me that he micromanages, he doesn't do anything, he doesn't address this or that. And I'm like, you need to sit in his office for an hour and see the amount of work that man does. And so I think that until you're in a situation, especially a classroom teacher, until you're in a situation to actually observe what is going on, it's really hard to imagine what they are doing throughout that day. But every day he searches somebody for drugs. So he's always doing something.
So sort of like the walk a mile in their shoes, so you understand exactly what kind of things they have to do.
Can I jump in also? Cynthia's going to go?
No, go ahead.
I've had a role, and we're just talking about teachers to empathize with the role of administrators, basically a principal. I've taken like another notch where I have something called an admin for a day where students actually perform in the role of administrator, because students also don't understand the role of administrators. Started coming in early, as SHAI had stated, I don't have to go looking for drugs, thank goodness, at the middle school level, but even the paperwork, interviews, requirements when I get called for the board, getting calls from parents, dealing with student discipline, going to observe teachers, informally and formally, going to PLCs, and then having more paperwork due, and then still reaching out to parents at the end of the day. And then it's like, that's when I can actually start more paperwork at the end of the day. So I've had students, I do that about 4 times a year to also understand. And then 2 years ago, I actually had a teacher perform in my role where I took the teacher's role for a day. Like, I had made sure that everything was aligned. They wanted an opportunity to win the role of principal for a day. And the principal, the principal for the day had stated that he didn't realize my role. And I think he was somewhat kind of cocky originally, and then when he took my role, he said he empathized. I said, that was a day that you didn't do any paperwork. So you didn't even take care of anything from the superintendent. You didn't get any calls from parents or anything else. So you had an easy day. All you did was basically walkthroughs and deal with a little discipline. So and it gave me a good day because I had already notified my boss that I'm going to be in the classroom all day. I told also the teachers, no matter who you are, where you are, I want you to come and observe me. And I'm not trying to show off as far as like I'm a great teacher, but there's certain things that I expect of you, I'm going to model it that day. And I just remember kids always kept saying that was one of the best day. Like I taught math that one day.
That sounds wonderful. I'm going to move on to the last couple of questions as we're getting crunched for time here at the end. What might be your opinion on what the key components are between teachers and administrators that will drive the vision of a school forward to create that shared vision between the teaching staff and the administration and really drive the school where they want to go?
Well, I'll jump in. I wish I had an answer to that. It seems to me that it does depend a fair amount on what happens at state and federal levels, that even if a school wanted to go in a certain direction, they might be either prevented or hindered in some way from that. And I also think that over the past 10 years or so, maybe longer, that there's been a fair amount of damage done in terms of trust between teachers. I'm talking about public schools. Maybe it's different in a private school or a charter school, but with all of the, not just the testing, but just the, you know, a lot of teachers are leaving and then new people come in, and there's just a lot of churn and a lot of just a lack of trust. There doesn't seem to be a shared vision. It's more like it's like we're in the middle of a you know, a real crossroad, I guess. What do other people think?
I say it's establishing people as teacher leaders so they can be a shared responsibility towards that vision is one of the first key things. Towards people really empathizing, again, with the role of administrators. Like what I do is I have a school leadership council where there's a chair, and what I try to do is that be a platform for teachers to input in the decision-making process, and I really do. I mean, we just, although I've been there for 6 years, I've been really inputting the just interviewing teachers as far as like new people coming into the building, but they wanted to start seeing being more involved in the process. So like we fine-tune the process as far as like the interviewing. We just finished it recently, and now we're going to institute a collaborative just process or protocol when teachers are interviewed for the job, and that's big. You know, even with budgeting, I make the teacher, like I've trained everyone in leadership council how to even look at the budget. They even create inventories and know how to do a zero-based budget. Like everyone in my school leadership council, even the parents that are involved. So that's a big key. Having the platform for communication, and then people's just stepping up. You know, as even if there's team leaders or PLC leaders, that's what I do have in my building. They don't get paid, but the kind of roles that they take, it helps me relieve some of my role, but it gives them just the opportunity to lead another person. And for those that are looking to become future administrators, they're sort of kind of being prepared for those roles by stepping it up now. And I know we had a talk in the Blabathon one of the hours that when do you say no? And the thing is, if you're looking to be promoted, you have to be able to kind of stretch yourself a little bit more. And that's when you start really knowing what the administrators do by just stepping up and even just asking, like, hey, is there something I can help because I'm looking to become an admin in a few years? That's another way as far as taking more of an empathy for the administration also.
Shay, do you have anything for this question, or message?
Yeah, all I would say is trust. I mean, I think that that relationship to trust each other, to trust that like I need to trust that my administrators have my back, and my administrators need to trust that I'm going to do what is best for students. And that once that trust is built, I just had this conversation with my administrator the other day. Once that trust is built, and that trust can be built by giving me choices in what I want to learn, you know, not having a one-size-fit-all type of thing. And we just had this conversation, and I told, this year has been much better than the past years, and I think it's coming down to that trust issue. We're starting to trust each other, and I think that is imperative. I think that's true for the classroom as well as for all other relationships.
Absolutely, that's great. Yeah, that was one of the things that came up. I brought this topic up in the lunchroom on Friday, and I said, hey, what do you guys think about how we can build these relationships? And communication and trust were the two things that came up over and over again as people came in and left the room, to make sure that the administration is communicating what they can with the teachers and showing where they want the school to go. So in relation to that, what things has your school or district, what kind of things have they done to promote this positive culture of collaboration and learning between the teachers, administration, to push that vision forward? Go ahead, SHAI. Oh.
Sorry, I can never find that button. The thing that our district, our high school is doing this year that is new is the choice of, like, every Tuesday, first Tuesday of every month, we have a faculty meeting, and now the faculty meetings are choice. What is it? They have like 8, 10, 12 options, and you get to pick which one you want to go to, what you want to learn about, and even you can even contact the administration and say, hey, I'd really like to spend this hour doing this, and sometimes they'll be like, you know what, that's a great idea, go ahead and do that. I mean, so that has truly started building that trust among our administrator and our staff, and our staff is starting to really believe that our administrators do want us to grow and do want us to learn, you know, and do what's best for those students.
As I've stated before, just the platform of communication, like I said, through the School Leadership Council, having various different committees, supporting them as they bring up ideas and following through. And again, that's the platform of communication is a platform for inputting decisions, is that form of communication. But number one is listening, because if you're going to set up all these things and you're not going to listen to your staff as an administrator, that is key. There's no use to even setting examples if it looks all fine and dandy, but there's no follow-up because you're not listening. That also destroys trust.
Unmute. So the most positive school community that I've seen was where the administrator was more of almost like an administrative assistant to the teachers and the other professionals in the building. And so the teachers ran the faculty meeting. This was not a public school, by the way. And everyone in the school, including the board members and who else was involved, everyone was on committees. And they were on committees that were about something that was important to them, that they felt strongly about. And these committees were not just to push your own private agenda. It was actual work. I mean, it was, you know, like, because we didn't have an administrator to do all that work, we all had to do things. So when we wanted something done, we had to step up and say, well, okay, I'll do it. And it just made everyone feel like they were equally carrying the burden, but also equally empowered and equally buy-in. And so, I mean, I just don't ever remember anybody feeling left out of decision making.
That's wonderful. Awesome. That is my last question. So I want to thank Cynthia and Josh and SHAI for being here today. Thank you, Sarah, for allowing me to moderate today's discussion. And I will turn it back to Sarah to wrap up.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone on panel, Cynthia, Josh, and SHAI. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to everyone on Twitter, everyone who's watching. Always a pleasure to have you all join us. So the podcast will be available in a couple weeks on iTunes at bit.ly/EduMatch podcast. And there's a great graphic that was created by Rachel that has been tweeted out. So check the EduMatch hashtag. You'll see all the great ways that you can connect with us. We're also going to storify the Twitter chat. So come back next week. We're going to be talking about new rules for student media releases. So thinking about living in a connected world where now we don't just have the websites and the newspaper. Now we have teachers who are utilizing social media to tell their class's story. So we're going to be looking at new rules for media releases, so check us out. And anyone can be a panelist as long as you're an educator and you have something to say. So check us out at bit.ly/tweettalk32 for next week's episode. So thank you again to everyone, and hope to catch you next week. So have a great week, everybody.